All right, we are live with Dr. Dan, aka Dr. Snooze. Dr. Dan, welcome back. How are you doing today?
I am doing great. I slept really well last night, so I'm feeling good.
Okay, good. I know. Sleep is so important. I know we're going to dive into all things about sleep today. So have already asked you multiple questions before. We already have a list of questions coming in. So this is just, total live AMA. So if you have any questions, start dropping them in the chat if you're tuning in. And Dr. Dan, so for those of you who are not familiar with Dr. Dan, he is one of the leading voices in sleep science and the creator of SleepSpace. So today we're going to dive into how to truly optimize rest, from circadian rhythms and sound-based sleep hacks to wearable insights and recovery strategies. So if you have any questions right now, start dropping them in the chat, and then we will start to pull people up live. So Dr. Dan, anything that I missed in terms of your introduction, just so people who do not follow you, that I missed out on?
No, I mean, basically, if anyone has struggles falling asleep, staying asleep, one question I get a lot is, how do I improve my deep sleep? And something that we've been focusing a lot on as a company is breath and sleep, improving your breathing health while you sleep, snoring. If you have any of those issues, please ask away. I've worked with the leading researchers in the space on all of these topics, and I've delved deep into literally thousands of peer-reviewed publications on this. So just fire away, and I am happy to help you for free.
Oh, that's so kind of you. You truly are kind, amazing soul. So you've already helped me too, and we'll dive into that too. So I do have a question that came in from Sam. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this one up. So Sam, he pulled this in from our Life Network. So for those of you who do not know, we are officially live on Life Network now. It is a question. We already have forum questions coming in for Dr. Dan. So this question that Sam had put, so he has two questions, twofold, and I'm sure you get this quite a bit. These are really good things for people to know. Number one, what are the best sleep metrics to track? And then number two, your recommended sleep tracking devices.
Sure. So usually when people are evaluating their sleep, they're looking at REM and deep sleep. We want more REM and deep sleep. These are the more regenerative types of sleep. That being said, it's a little bit of a misnomer. Light sleep is also regenerative. And one of the biggest things that's been shown to be related to chronic health diseases and your brain fog the next day is actually just total sleep amount. That's one of the biggest things. So I start usually with making sure that I get enough sleep. That's the first place to start. And once you're getting enough sleep, then I would try to do things to optimize my sleep quality, meaning improving REM and improving deep sleep, and also making sure you have reasonably good sleep efficiency, which is the amount of time you spend in bed asleep. So those are all of the metrics that I look for. And when trying to optimize for those, useful signals can be HRV. Also, many pieces of technology can measure things like sound in the room or snoring. So really a multimodal approach of sensors is good. My app will measure those things non-invasively. From a wearable perspective, I've really tried them all. I have a really good algorithm on the Apple Watch. That's part of my app, SleepSpace. Recently, I use the Oura Ring too. I've used, Whoop, BioStrap, which isn't available anymore. But I've been around, used them all. A really cool one that I've been focusing on recently is Happy Ring.
Okay.
The reason I like this is that it's actually FDA cleared to diagnose sleep apnea. And that will measure your just breathing health in general. People think sleep apnea, and it sort of has this negative connotation, but many, many people have suboptimal breathing at night, which is the way that I like to think about it.
Right.
You don't have to be obese or anything for this. And so this FDA cleared ring can actually diagnose your sleep apnea, and you can interface with an MD to give you that diagnosis, and you can actually get potential treatment for things like insomnia from a medical doctor, sleep apnea, something that I find is spoken about, upper airway resistance, which is quite common in women. So that's one of the cool wearables that we've been working on recently.
That's incredible. Well, I can testify. I do have your app, SleepSpace, and also I always call it a device, but it's actually not a device. It's, what is it again? Like the
The
smart bed?
SleepSpace smartphone charger. Yeah.
Yes, I have that one. So after my first conversation with Dr. Dan, and I already have noticed an improvement in my deep sleep. So I am grateful. And I have a husband who snores too. So that's my next thing that we're going to work on.
Yeah, we got to fix the sleep partner's snoring. That's one of the main ways that sometimes we can improve our own sleep, actually.
Exactly. There's many times I'm like nudging him at night.
Yeah.
Too funny. Okay. So another question that we have that came in is there such a thing as sleep debt, and how can we recover?
For sure. And that's one of the main metrics that we calculate in our technology. So, sleep debt is basically when you're not getting the amount of sleep you need. So to answer if you're having sleep debt, first you have to understand how much sleep you need. And the American Academy of Sleep Medicine has a consensus report saying that adults need between 7 and 9 hours of sleep a night. Now, that's a pretty big range, right? So figuring out how you land in that is really important to managing and understanding your sleep debt. A little hack that you can do to figure this out is go to bed separate yourself from a very stressful, say, work environment. Ideally do this on like vacation, so you don't have social jet lag or societal pressures that make you wake up early or go to bed late. So go to that sort of relaxing Zen place environment that you might have. I hope you do. And then go to bed the same time every day and wake up naturally and don't nap. And that's pretty close to probably what your natural sleep need is.
Okay.
Basically, how much sleep would you need in a 24-hour period of time without feeling groggy during the day? And you can recover from sleep debt to some degree by, say, sleeping more. You can actually prophylactically prepare for it as well. So there's something called a prophylactic nap, where you say, know that you're going to sleep deprive yourself tomorrow. So then I take like an hour and a half nap today to sort of store it up a little bit.
That's interesting.
But so that's like a strategy. You can never fully make up your sleep debt. So when you're sleep deprived, you can't fully make up for that. But there are ways to mitigate it. There's also something called an appetitive nap. There's different types of naps actually, which you might take after a night of sleep deprivation to mitigate the effects of it to some degree.
That's interesting. Okay. So I know my team and we were all at the Health Optimization Summit this past weekend, and we definitely did not get enough sleep because it was so fun. And, you're in a conference room all day long with the bright lights, and you're up super early and you stay out super late. And, I definitely, for at least 2 or 3 days after I got back, I just really felt completely wiped, like mentally, physically, all of it. Definitely did not get enough sleep. So, but I did, when I could, try to sneak away, and I went outside in the sunshine just so I could not have all the artificial lights, and just laid there in the grass and closed my eyes and kind of did like the non-sleep deep breaths just to kind of relax for a little bit. Is that helpful, just to kind of not necessarily like
So
but
the also sort of known as yoga nidra, and we have those tracks in our technology as well. I mean, you are, producing some regenerative beta waves when you're in that state. So, I mean, it is somewhat regenerative, but it's not going to be as fully regenerative as getting, say, a little bit of a power nap in there. So I would say, a 25-minute power nap probably beats 25 minutes of, yoga nidra or something.
Nidra. Okay. But if needed, it's better than nothing.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Good to know. Okay, so we have one from Shauna on Instagram. How much sleep is ideal? And we talked about this a little bit, but it seems that it's harder to get more than 6.5 hours. Okay, interesting, Shauna.
Yeah, I mean, especially as like a new parent and stuff, I can relate to this even more, but
Yes.
sort of the hyper arousal nature of the world sometimes brings our cortisol levels into this place where it becomes difficult to, get the sleep that our body needs. You probably need more than 6.5 hours a night.
Hmm.
Probably less than 1% of the population really can get by on 6.5 hours a night on a regular basis. And keep in mind, this is 6.5 hours of sleep, not time in bed. Um,
Exactly.
so, it seems hard to do that. Part of the solution, I would say, is sleep is a skill to some degree, and we can
It is.
train our bodies how to relax. So
Mm.
what you did with the the sorry, I
Yoga
always say,
Nidra.
yeah,
Yeah.
I always
NSDR,
say
the
yoga. I always say yoga nidra, but what does Uberman call it?
non-sleep deep rest.
Non-sleep deep rest, right?
Hmm.
So that you actually have trained. That's like you've learned how to bring that cortisol response down, get into that relaxing state. You've
Mm.
trained yourself how to do that. And that period before bed, getting in that state, like sleep happens an hour before sleep to some
Okay.
degree. So being relaxed during that period of time can actually help keep you asleep later on throughout the
Mm.
night. Now, I would have to ask this person, I would have to ask Shauna a series of in-depth questions to get at
Right.
this. There maybe an underlying sleep disorder going on that's making the sleep light quite common.
Mm.
You know, maybe it's an anxiety thing, maybe it's not. So, getting evaluated, say, with something like, our sleepcorner.com solution
Mm.
is a key to where you'll actually speak to a doctor, actually, and an MD licensed in sleep medicine. That's going to be key to solving a person's question that like this.
Okay. That's super helpful. And I know Shauna, and she's very similar to me, 3 kids, and, you're go, go, go all throughout the day. So you're like tired, but wired. And then you just like finally your head hits the pillow. And it's same thing for you, Dr. Dan, too, and your wife, since you have a newborn, it's like you're so exhausted. So you'd think you would just fall asleep so quickly. But like you said, your cortisol is so high, like you really need to start preparation at least an hour before to kind of wind down. So to kind of piggyback off of that, are there certain tips, tricks that we can do to help kind of bring that cortisol down, like the NSDR, non-sleep deep rest, or read the night blocking glasses? I have my yellow
Yeah,
ones right now, but
yeah. I love the red light. That's a big thing. There's
yeah.
photoreceptors in the eyes that are sensitive to the hue of light, and basically, this is the melatonin suprachiasmatic nucleus system,
Mm.
circadian system, and so it's better to. We have a ritual where I say, "Hey Siri, I'm going to bed." Literally, ocean waves come on, and red light emits from our bedroom. It's
Yes.
kind of a funny thing, but having less friction, the less friction you can
Mm.
have in starting your wind down routine. Because, like,
Mm.
as a parent, sometimes it's like, doing this whole routine before bed can be challenging because you're so tired, for example.
So true.
So, if we can plan our environment, this is why I love sleep. You make a couple of changes to your environment, you plan ahead, and that can be everlasting for years to come. Um,
Mm.
a big thing, dark, completely dark, dark, quiet, cool is what they
Hmm.
say. So blackout blinds is one of those hacks that I just love. It's one of the bigger ROIs. Um, but really, your bedroom should be a sleep sanctuary where you save it
Mm.
for sleep and sex only, is what they
Right.
say.
Yeah.
Many of you have heard that, but
Yep.
the biohacker side of things is what can we do to really create that association of my bedroom is relaxing. Like, how do
Yes.
we go above and beyond the standard sleep hygiene stuff, uh,
Hmm.
and really classically condition ourselves through associations that now it's time for your body to relax. And
Like
that's what's,
Pavlov's dog. It's like
yeah,
that instant cue, you know,
I think
you're
of
going.
myself as Pavlov's dog all the time. So, we're all just Pavlov's dogs at the end of the day.
Right.
So
That's a good point.
augmenting that with cues, multimodal cues, and some supplements can help for that too.
Hmm.
I'm a fan of GABA L-theanine based supplements. I think are
Hmm.
good. Can be good for this too. GABA is the most common pervasive inhibitory neurotransmitter. So these are just some other hacks out there.
Okay, so good. And I'm glad you talked about supplements too and other little hacks because I have another question coming in. But they're, like you said, simplify it and take out the friction. I think that's key because, like you said, there could be, especially for, parent, or you're just so busy and you're tired, you just want to go straight to bed. Like, what are some of those, like the 80-20 rule? Like, it's going to provide the most bang for your buck instead of having to do these like 20-step sleep routine, because I've been there before and I tried that.
Exactly.
Okay, so from Caleb, our co-founder. Hi, Caleb. On Instagram right now. So would you recommend sauna and even a quick cold plunge in the evening before bed to relax your body? I've heard reports that it can increase sleep scores.
Yes. So there's actually some good research on this. I work with one of the researchers on this at Mount Sinai, Ankit Parak, and he's done some work showing that sauna during the day increases your deep sleep at night.
Mm.
So when I'm particularly wound up, for example, this is one of my key hacks is I'll take a bath, like having that metacognition that I'm a little wound up today.
Mm.
I had a dispute with someone at work, something. I need to wind down more. I'll do a warm bath at night. It'll just relax me. And actually, it's a little counterintuitive, but a warm bath will reduce your internal body temperature, and
Right.
reducing your internal body temperature helps you fall asleep. So
Okay.
there's just like the cognitive relaxation aspect of a bath, but
Mm.
then there's also there's actually a physiological mechanism where warming yourself up before bed with a bath or sauna will help you fall asleep and potentially help you get more deep sleep.
Okay.
Now, with the cold plunge, I think it could be good during the day. I would not do it right before bed because it can be sort of hyper arousing,
Mm.
and it has that opposite effect
Yeah.
that I just said. So I would do cold plunge during the day, sauna, bath more closer to the evening.
Okay. That's interesting. So sometimes when I've done like a bath or sauna in the evening, I've noticed like my body temperature is super hot. Would it be okay just to like do like a cold rinse of the shower just to kind of bring the body temperature just a little bit down so it's not, super hot and warm?
So it's a little bit counterintuitive, but your body temperature feels hot,
Yeah.
but then your internal body temperature is actually lower in
Huh.
response to you being hot, basically.
Okay. Okay.
Um,
That makes sense.
yeah.
Well,
So
yeah, I think it's probably even just like overall just helping you relax and kind of tune out and be ready for bed.
I'm pro bath for that reason. Exactly.
Okay. Okay. Good to know. All right. Okay. So we have another one. And for those if you're coming in later, start dropping your questions in the
Oh,
chat.
but to
Yeah,
answer
go
your
ahead.
question though, too, I just want to, one
Mm,
thing that you could do, and there's actually good evidence of this. I talked about it with Ben before.
okay.
There was a product, if you cool your head with like a washcloth.
Oh,
So if you're feeling that,
yeah.
just put a cold washcloth on your head, and that can actually help you fall asleep. There's good evidence of that.
Oh, that's interesting. I'm going
Yeah,
to try that.
yeah.
That's just another little simple thing to try. Very cool. Okay, so another one that came in, how does sound stimulation improve deep sleep and how can someone try this? So I know I can testify to that with your app too. So
Yeah, so we use sound in a lot of ways. We call it a sleep journey. So that's playing nature sounds that goes into a sound machine. and then a smart wake up experience. And that's how we use sound. We actually use pink noise. It's a deviation of white noise. It's a little bit
Mm,
more friendly on the ear. Um, and it's dynamic, which means that it adjusts based on your sleep. And one thing that this can do is more effectively block out noise pollution. So I'm a New
sure.
Yorker. We live in Dumbo, and there's sometimes horns and stuff going by. And so it's important that those sounds don't disrupt you when you're sleeping. And so it's a simple hack. Use a sound machine to more effectively block those out.
Mm,
And then we actually trigger this specific sound that's tuned to the deep sleep brainwave when we detect that you're in a more consolidated state of sleep in the first couple cycles. And that's what I call the deep sleep stimulation sound. And that mechanism that you have, it plays the sound more precisely on your side of the bed. Because, like,
yeah.
for example, my wife likes a bit of a different sound experience than I do. So you want some localization to the sound. And so, using sounds in these ways is just one of those safe, simple, effective hacks that can just improve sleep a little bit, which could have a big impact on your health and well-being.
Okay, that's good. And I probably should get that sleep device smart on my husband's side too, because that would maybe help him, you think, more with the snoring?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing with snoring is to get treated and diagnosed with potentially
Hmm.
sleep apnea. I don't know if we've gone down that
We
discussion with
haven't
him
yet.
yet.
I know we need to.
Okay,
We
you
need to
gotta
do that.
have him listen to this. I'll try to convince him right now.
I know.
But obviously, deep sleep is related to lymphatic drainage and Alzheimer's disease,
Mhm.
cancer. That's what I study, by the way, is lymphatic drainage from deep sleep. Which is basically associated with getting Alzheimer's disease. So you can try to scare him with that.
Yeah,
With
that
that,
is scary, really.
yeah,
I didn't know that connection with Alzheimer's. That just because your brain is just really not repairing at nighttime, or
that's a simple way of thinking about it. But
okay.
basically, you have this lymphatic drainal system that
Hmm.
clears out metabolic waste that forms throughout the day. Um, and deep sleep basically this drainage, it's like the lymphatic system drainage system, but this is in the brain. It's the lymphatic drainage system.
Hmm.
When you're in deep sleep, it pumps more effectively to your spinal cord and actually eventually to your kidneys this harmful metabolites that form throughout the day.
Wow.
um, and so that's one of the reasons why deep sleep is thought to be good.
That's so crazy. Like, it seems like over the past, like, 5 years, the importance of sleep is just getting, more and more, hope thankfully, more and more prevalent, and people are really realizing, just because back in the day, and I'm sure maybe you were even the same too, possibly, Dr. Dan, you're just like, "I'll sleep when I'm dead, I have too much to do, and, like, who cares about sleep?" But it's just so important.
Yeah.
I wish I would have known.
City that never sleeps. There's so many like sayings that we have in our society of like, you know, a lot of entrepreneurs have said like I sleep for 5 hours a day and wear it as a badge of honor. But
Yeah.
you know, I think it's shifting the zeitgeist on that.
I think so too. I mean, even, probably getting, your doctorate, it's like you probably barely slept. And how were you getting your sleep back then? Because I know
There
I
were
hear
some
from doctors all
challenging
the time.
times. Yeah,
It's so
for
crazy. And
sure.
just like the amount of like just damage, right? That does to your brain. It's
Totally.
crazy. Yeah.
Also, the regularity is super important. They're finding in the lit. So it's both
Mm,
amount and being regular with things. And just when you're in your 20s and stuff, you go out late and everything like that, and
right.
um, that's having an effect.
But as much as possible, try to keep it as regular as you can.
Exactly.
Go to bed around the same time, wake up around the same time, no matter what day of the week, as much as you can.
Yes.
Yes.
But there's always a tension with that and sleep amount. So that's a little game there.
Okay.
Um, so, sometimes you can deviate if you need to sleep more for whatever reason.
Mm.
Because, societal pressure can sometimes force us to wake up too early and whatnot.
Very true. Like you said, having a baby or, work, things like that. can't really do much about that. So you
Right.
just try your best or maybe
Yeah.
get a nap during the day.
Yeah, planning a schedule and also knowing where you're at with things. So if you have like an insomnia issue, then don't take a
Mm,
nap. You should build up your sleep pressure.
okay.
So a part of this is knowing yourself
Mm,
is a real key, and where you're at to getting a better quality sleep.
exactly. So just bio individuality, right, is super important. Just and I think that's just part of biohacking in general. It's just really getting to know you and like what makes
I
you
love
tick and
that
work.
bio individuality. For some reason, I've never heard that one before.
I'm sure I heard it from Ben. I can't claim it.
Right.
Okay, so we have another one. Let's see here. We talked a little bit about metrics already, but which ones really matter when you're kind of looking at your aura, Whoop, or any other trackers? Specific ones that we really should pay attention to for metrics.
Yeah, I mean, the main thing I look at is sleep amounts, REM, and deep. And it matters your age, but personally for me, I'm almost 40 now. I'm trying to get at least an hour and a half of REM and deep sleep. Now, I'm not like Ben, like some like super like athletic fit person. I'm sure Ben is like clocking like 2 hours a night or something like that. Like
Mm,
an ultra healthy person is probably getting more like 2 hours a night.
2 hours of REM and 2 hours of deep, or
Yeah, something
okay.
like that. That's like top of the line health
Wow.
person.
Okay.
I'm not that person. I'm like the crazy sleep scientist person that isn't like, exercising all the time and stuff like
Yeah. Yeah.
that.
What do you average on your REM and your deep?
So I usually it's probably like an hour 15
Okay.
for the deep, and I usually get like an hour and a half for the REM.
Okay.
Um, and I'll see, things like alcohol.
Hmm.
I barely drink, but when I do, definitely I'll see a difference in REM and deep sleep.
100%.
Every once in a while, I'll smoke marijuana, and I'll definitely see a decline in REM from that.
Mm,
One of the biggest things is when I use my treatment for sleep apnea, I see a marked difference in those stages.
okay.
Um, and so that's why I've really focused recently on breath health and sleep. And we
Mm,
came up with the sleep corner idea.
that's good. Okay. That's we have another question that kind of piggybacks off of that. So I'm going to pull this one up because I think this might piggyback off of the breath part. So what does Dr. Dan think about mouth taping during sleep?
Yeah, so I've done it a couple times. I found it sort of weird. My wife does it and she
I do it.
loves it. Um, so it's sort of like a personal thing, I guess, a little bit. I'm like nothing against it.
Hmm.
And I think it could be helpful. Definitely, like as James Nestor points out, it's better to breathe through your nose than your mouth.
Mm,
And it's good for sleeping to breathe through your nose. That being said, if you do have a blockage, if you do have like a deviated septum and stuff, I wouldn't recommend it. And it's not a treatment for sleep apnea by any means.
okay.
So some people, it's sort of like sometimes I feel like marketed that way a little bit. But if you have like an obstruction, if you're snoring and you have an obstruction or something, you probably should try to get air any way you can. And I wouldn't necessarily recommend mouth taping. So before mouth taping, I would say, and you snore maybe, if you snore and you're interested in mouth taping, the first thing I would do is get diagnosed for sleep apnea
Okay.
using Sleep Corner. Um, Once you get diagnosed, you should get treated. And then with those treatments, you can use the mouth tape over the treatments. So, like, for
Mm,
example, I have a mandibular advancement device that I use to treat my apnea. And it would be totally reasonable to mouth tape over this, basically a specialized mouth guard that
okay.
I use. You could also use
Interesting.
it over a CPAP potentially too, or under
Wow.
the CPAP. So it
Okay.
can augment these other breathing solutions. But if you don't have an obstruction or anything and you don't snore, yeah, I think it can be good.
Hmm. I do it myself personally just because I would catch myself waking up with my mouth open.
Yeah.
And so I just felt like I wanted to make sure I was breathing through my nose, and I maybe it's helping. I don't know, but it's a thing. But I like it. I do it almost every night.
Yeah. I
So,
think people say it helps, and there are a couple papers saying that it helps to some degree. I've seen some peer-reviewed research on it. So
mm,
there are some good things about it.
okay. Okay, good to know. So we had a couple other questions. I want to be mindful of your time. So Ava, if you are able to, I know Ava from our team has a question. If you could ask Dr. Dan.
Hi, this is kind of fun getting to jump on.
Yeah.
So my bed, I live in a pretty small apartment, and my bed is positioned right under those mini split ducts. And I feel like I've just been congested for the last 5 months since I've been having to run the heat in the night. Do you have like any recommendations for how to manage this or any improvements I can make to my sleeping situation?
Sure. Yeah. The New York City, in New York City, that is a common problem with the old heating systems. I mean, so we have a humidifier, and finding the right one can be challenging because I'm also super anxious about mold. And a lot of times they collect mold. So we have one, I can't remember the brand right now, but it's like stainless steel. It's a little bit more pricey than the other ones, but it doesn't collect mold as much. And so, I think that can help for sure. But having the right, and we also actually have an air purifier in there too. I think, doesn't Ben use a specific one?
I know he likes Jasper a lot. That's
Yeah.
typically one that he recommends.
Yeah. So we do the air. It's a good point. The air is really important. So we can actually keep it super cool. Like actually in like the 65, 67 degree range. And we'll do a humidifier and an air purifier.
Okay.
Awesome. Yeah, those are great tips. Thank you.
There's one more tip if you want to really go next level. There's these toppers where you can control the temperature even more. So I've worked with the Perfectly Snug topper guys for a while. There's other solutions too. I like the Perfectly Snug. It uses air and it's like an air conditioner on top of your bed.
I have one. Hack. I use the bed jet. Are you familiar with that one? Yeah.
It's a similar premise as bed jet. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It blows the air. And you can adjust it. And I have it like kind of sync up because I like to actually start it warm and then I have it get cool.
Right. You can set a schedule of temperature change dynamic to your side of the bed.
Yeah. Does that help, Ava?
Yeah, cool. Thank you so much.
Yay. Thanks, Ava. And Casey or Mason, if you guys have any questions, I know you're in here live too. Feel free to either, just drop a question in the chat and I can pull you up, would be great. If not, I have a couple other questions just to kind of wrap it up, Dr. Dan. I want to be mindful of your time. So, okay. We always love these questions. If you could only recommend one sleep habit in the world, what would it be?
Oh, you're going to make me dodge this question, I think.
I know, Mom. It's so hard.
my thing is always, it's unique to you. So what I recommend for people, this is also a takeaway that I have, is think about your sleep environment and think about what disrupts your sleep, how you can improve your sleep, and what is that one thing unique to you that you can do to improve your sleep quality. That's my cop-out answer.
Individual.
Yeah. My non-cop-out answer, I guess, is make sure you are breathing well throughout the night.
Okay.
So evaluate that. So many people come to me, they're like, oh, I got no deep sleep. What do I do? A lot of the things I said were like subtle hacks to improve things a little bit. If you are choking throughout the night, you're not going to be breathing well. And sleep apnea is defined by having 5 or more choking episodes an hour.
Wow.
A bad case can be as much as 100 an hour. But it's not healthy to not breathe well 2 to 4 times an hour. You're not going to be diagnosed with sleep apnea. Health insurance will not do anything for you. But the primary way that you can improve your sleep quality. So trying to improve your breathing health at night is, I think, probably the biggest bang for your buck for the most people who want to get a better quality sleep.
Okay. That's, yeah, again, it goes back to that bio individuality we talked about too, but getting to know yourself and what you need. So that's really good. Okay. Thank you. All right. So we had another one come in, kind of piggybacking off of what you had said. When you mentioned cannabis usage that you will do from time to time, a lot of people use this for sleep. Does using cannabis impair the deep sleep and REM?
Yeah. So there's really strong evidence that it reduces REM sleep. If someone's a chronic cannabis user, they have a period of REM rebound after they stop, which really shows that it's inhibiting your REM sleep. I think it's partly because when you smoke weed, you're sort of dreaming in the day a little bit. You're almost getting that REM in the daytime. So it's definitely not good for REM. So really, like, one way you can mitigate that is to not do it right before bed, perhaps. It'll have less of an effect then. But generally, not good for REM sleep. That being said, something like CBD, CBN, which is in many supplements, to good effect, like, the MD Sleep one that we recommend.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of CBD, CBN ones that are psychoactive. So that's not going to impact your REM sleep. It's really when it's psychoactive, that's when you get that negative impact on REM.
Okay, that's super helpful. And the next question that actually just came in kind of piggybacks, and we can kind of talk about with the MD bio stuff. And I know you talked about GABA a little bit. So this person is asking, is it possible I might have missed this already, but does Dr. Dan have any sleep stack recommendations like magnesium before bed, etc.? And I'm also curious about melatonin, those type of things.
Yeah, so I've been actually steering clear from melatonin for a while. I think it's good for periodic things like jet lag, if you're trying to shift your circadian rhythm. But to use it every night, I don't know. There's some evidence that it impacts your endogenous production to some degree, or the receptors, your endogenous receptors of melatonin. So if you were to do melatonin, I'd recommend a very small dosage, but I'm more in favor of the magnesium, GABA, L-theanine stack.
Okay.
It has actually a higher safety profile, I would say. I mean, melatonin is pretty safe, but it has an even better safety profile. And I like the mechanism, the inhibitory, promoting the inhibitory neurons that naturally occur in neurotransmitters that naturally occur in your body.
Okay.
And so magnesium, L-theanine, and maybe some CBD, CBN if you really have that racing mind kind of thing going on. It also helps with inflammation to some degree if you're dealing with pain. So, and combining it for some people with, say, valerian can be helpful as well. There's some good science behind valerian.
Okay.
But I really like the idea of combining the behavior changes solutions with a safe and effective supplement. I think that's the best way if you're struggling with falling asleep and staying asleep. It's one of the best solutions because the supplement can sort of help more in the short term. And then you do these behavior change things with cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia-based solutions, which is what we promote in our SleepSpace app. That's more the long-term tale of improving your sleep through your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors.
Okay. That's really, really good. I like how you talked about that too, because it's not just covering it up and just taking these supplements all the time, but just improving it for the long term. It's super, super important. So the MD Bio, does it have all three of those that you mentioned, GABA, L-theanine, and magnesium?
Yeah. So it has actually, I don't think it has magnesium. I actually do a magnesium supplement on top of it.
Okay.
but it has valerian, L-theanine, GABA, and then like a stack of other sleep promoting things.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a CBD CBN version as well.
Okay, that's right. For those who want to have that little part as well. And then if people are using melatonin, what is a safe amount then? Because you mentioned like maybe a little bit.
Yeah, it sort of matters the situation.
True.
Like if you're talking about every night, I wouldn't do more than 1 to 3 milligrams. That's basically what the science has said.
Okay.
I like the 300 micrograms.
Wow, that's pretty small.
It's pretty small amount. So 0.3 milligrams, right? So it's a very small amount. One of the problems also with melatonin is sometimes it's hard to dosage it correctly. Like
Okay.
the pill might say 5 milligrams, it might be 7. There's a whole scandal about that for a while.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so that's the other thing. But say you're trying to deal with jet lag, or like there's a real sleep issue. Like I've seen some doctors recommend, sleep docs say like 5 milligrams to maybe even 10 for those periodic situations. Definitely not for on a regular basis. Doesn't really make sense.
Okay, that's really good to know, because I do know like what Ben, when he travels a lot, he will do like a melatonin sledgehammer. Then
that makes sense. That's like the use case that actually makes sense. Yeah.
Okay, that's good to know. All right, so are you good with one last question?
Of course, yes.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Dan. You've been so great. Okay, so from Jason on Instagram, any insight or recommendations for best alarms to use?
Oh, love this question. My app is a smart alarm clock,
There you go.
It wakes you up gradually, 528 hertz. You can also integrate with smart lights, so you get this sort of sunrise experience that goes alongside with either bird sounds or this, regenerative 520 hertz sounds. I even sometimes do it with a morning gratitude meditation too. So it wakes you up gradually into this sort of gratitude meditation state.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. So SleepSpace has it all.
There you go. That's right. So good. Yes. So on that, just to kind of wrap it all up. So for people who have not followed you before, Dr. Dan, if they're very curious about, SleepSpace, since we talked about that quite a bit, MD Bio, where do people find out about these things?
Yeah. So it's all at sleepspace.com, and our solution to the holistic solution to, actually get diagnosed for apnea, get the supplement and the software is at sleepcorner.com.
Okay, perfect. And then following you on Instagram if they want to learn more as well.
I'm at Dr. Snooze. Doctor spelled out is my Instagram handle, and I'll post, fun facts about sleep and things like this. Comparing Aura with Apple Watch, stuff like that all the time.
So good. Yes. And you're so helpful, and you're, a core contributing expert with Life Network, which we're so grateful to have you. So we have a lot of Dr. Dan's articles in there. So for people who are new to Life Network, you can go search Dr. Dan if you want to do a little bit more of a deeper dive on some things that he's put out there before. So we're officially live with our app also on Life Network. So Dr. Dan, that's actually official as of yesterday. Everything's kind of still, working out some kinks and stuff too, but it's live so people can download that. It's free. Get your free Life Network account too. So, and start, checking out Dr. Dan, joining us for more live Q&As with our amazing experts, just like Dr. Dan. So thank you. That was so fun.
Yes. Thanks for having me.
You're amazing. As always, we appreciate you so much. All right. Well, with that, we'll wrap it up. And, everybody else, stay tuned when we do more live Q&As, AMAs with our amazing experts, and looking forward to seeing you all in the network. Have a great one.
Have a great sleep.
Okay. It's good. I love it. Bye.